To enable closed captioning, please click on Closed Captioning at the bottom of your screen, then click on Show Subtitles.
Hi, I'm Karen Phipps, Director of Services for Children and Youth, and we want to welcome you to the Education Services session of the DVBI Centennial Celebration. Through Education Services, we have 6 education coordinators, 4 of whom are full-time and 2 are part-time. We serve 2,222 children, and out of those, 182 are age 0 to 3. So we start serving children at birth through age 22. We have a great presentation for you today. The education coordinators are going to talk to you about their relationships with the families and the students and the teachers for the vision impaired. So through Education Services, we have a variety of programs, some of which you know about, including Super Summer Camp, which is our free summer camp all week long at Camp Easter Seal for children that have visual impairments, who are blind, and who are deafblind ages 8 through completion of the 10th grade. We also do a variety of outreaches with parents, and we do professional development workshops for teachers for the vision impaired, PTs, OTs. But up next are the education coordinators to tell you more about the specific programs and how important the relationship that we have with students and families and teachers for the vision impaired are. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Enjoy.
Hello, my name is Jill Tomlinson, and I'm an education coordinator with the Department for the Blind and Vision Impaired in the Roanoke District Office. I work with the Education Services Department, and we are serving children from birth through exit from high school. I initially became interested in a project to highlight the age group birth through 3 of children born with blindness, visual impairment, and deaf blindness. I was on the Perkins website looking at their preschool program and resources and noticed that they had a project called Blankets for Babies. So I contacted their preschool director and I said, would it be possible for us to replicate this project in Virginia, but I would like to call it Tactile Quilts? And she said, go for it. So she introduced me to Bev Ehrlich in Michigan, who provided us with 3 prototypes of tactile quilts. That allowed us to examine the tactile quilts closely and looking at the fact that there were 9 different textured squares, trying to incorporate a square with the color yellow and a square with the color red, which are good for children born with cortical visual impairment, which is the leading cause of vision impairment in the developing countries. Also, Bev Ehrlich, who provided us with the prototype tactile quilts, suggested that we use interactive elements, maybe even things that squish, like sponge or crinkle paper or bubble wrap that would be covered in material, just to arouse the child's curiosity. So I spoke with our Director of Services for Children and Youth, Karen Phipps, who became our greatest supporter and cheerleader for this initiative. And so we worked together to get this program started in 2017. I met quilters at Pamplin. They were at Rocks Baptist Church, and this was the Solid Rock Quilters. And so I proposed the project to them. They met and voted to go forward with the project. So I gave them the 3 prototype tactile quilts. We developed a pattern that was sort of standardized, and thus began the project of the tactile quilts in Virginia. So they have reached out to many people. These quilts have gone to at least 500 to 600 families throughout the state of Virginia. With the initiation of the project by the Solid Rock Quilters in Pamplin, Virginia, we have extended the program to quilters in the Richmond area, even east, as well as west in Lynchburg and Farmville. So these quilters have lovingly donated their talents and time to this very worthwhile project. if you notice the quilt, there are 9 different squares. You see a puppy dog that is peeping out of a pocket, so they try to arouse curiosity to the child and interest, and using empty spools of thread, zippers, and all kinds of things. And one of the most important features of the quilt is the solid black, which presents a high contrast surface to put brightly colored toys, either paired with light or paired with sound, for the child to reach out, to touch, and to move toward. So this little tactile quilt has a very important purpose of helping to build foundational skills for early literacy. So we have another gentleman that I would like to recognize, Bill Haddon, who is 94 years old, and he is a member of Insight, an adult support group for persons with visual impairment and blindness in the Lynchburg area. And he has been my greatest spokesperson and advocate for this wonderful program. So I would just like to acknowledge all the volunteer quilters who have donated their loving skills and talents and time to this wonderful project.
Hello, I'm Tracy DeLuca, and I am an education coordinator out of the Richmond Regional Office of the Department for the Blind and Vision Impaired. And today I'm going to talk to you about something that obviously brings a smile to my face, and that's babies. Over the years, Department of the Blind and Vision Impaired Education Services has developed and nurtured relationships with community partners in our area, hospitals, specialists, and intervention agencies. We receive referrals from many of these, and we feel like we may be joining an established circle of support, sometimes even implementing new circles of support for families of children that may have a vision impairment or blindness. And joining these long-standing relationships with early intervention agencies, we embrace that family model of support for children that have identified developmental needs through a collaborative team approach. And education services may be contacted for consultation, for guidance, and it often begins with the very important skills of listening and observation. And of course, a chance to meet with the families and to play with the babies. And when we play with the babies and meet the families, we observe those functional vision skills. We observe how a child interacts with the people around them, how they interact with objects, what are they doing, how are they touching things, reaching for things, and also how are they interacting with their environment. We take this information and we are going to provide it not only to their families but also to the teams that are supporting them. And I think one of the aspects, the phenomenal aspect of the Education Services program is that our support does not stop. When a child leaves education or early intervention, it continues on through the years of education, whether it be public school, whether it be private school, or homeschool model. Happy Centennial DBVI. Okay, right. These are textured books, and within the book, every page has an area on it that has a specific texture that the child can feel. You can kind of hear where the front of the fire engine has a textured area. In addition to the print, we also have the Braille section on the book.
My name is Amanda Thompson. This is my 13th year in the field of visual impairments. I'm currently a TVI and O&M and service coordinator with AIS. Until recently, Lisa Allwater has been my education coordinator through DBVI, and she's been there to support me throughout my career. As a brand new baby TVI, Lisa was my education coordinator and helped me develop my craft. She visited my students with me, offered some advice, and helped me navigate the craziness that is our field. She's continued to mentor me through the years and challenge me to become the best TVI that I can be. As a solo TVI for 5 years, I felt isolated and alone, but Lisa was there to help guide me along the way. Education coordinators are more than a state employee that we call on for materials or someone to schedule TBI trainings every now and then. They know our families often from the moment their children are diagnosed in early infancy as they transition through Part C services into school-based services, navigate elementary, middle, and high school, move into transition, and then on to adulthood. I've called Lisa and cried and mourned the loss of my children and my students when they passed away. And I've called Lisa and cried and celebrated milestones and inchstones in their successes as well. Education coordinators are there to tell us we're not crazy for having high expectations for our students and to call us out when maybe we are acting a little out there. DBVI Ed coordinators help TBIs decipher iReports. They connect families of students with extremely rare visual impairments to other resources and other families, and they bridge the gap between Part C early intervention services and school-based services and VR counselors as well. I tend to think of education coordinators as the foundation for all of our services for students who are blind and visually impaired from infancy through adulthood. And I can be completely honest when I say that without Lisa Allwater as my education coordinator, I wouldn't be a TBI today. Happy Centennial DBVI!
DBVI provides low vision exams for all children in Virginia who are registered with the agency. DBVI education coordinators provide functional vision assessments to share with low vision doctors, in particular when a student's school setting is in the home or in a private school. Education coordinators work with low vision doctors who are vetted by the state. Education coordinators provide guidance to professionals and families, in particular those children who do not have a TVI, as well as to TVIs and O&M specialists in the public school setting. DBVI and education coordinators work with professionals as well as families to provide low vision aids, including magnifiers, monoculars, and sunwear for children of all ages, infants and toddlers included. Education coordinators order low vision aids for school children in public, private, and homeschool settings, and education coordinators also provide training on how to use the different low vision aids for students who are in a homeschool setting or in a private school setting. Education coordinators work with children who have a visual impairment due to ocular diseases, as well as those who have cortical or cerebral visual impairment, a brain-based visual impairment. And some of the characteristics and visual behaviors of CVI include color preference, latency, so it may take a child a little bit longer to look at something, visual field loss, in particular the lower field. Children with CVI may have difficulty with visual complexity or clutter. For example, if you were to look at the drawing of the room, it's a very visually cluttered or busy room, and it may be difficult for you to find the globe. Children with CVI sometimes have difficulty finding things on a shelf or locating people in a very crowded hallway. Light gazing, non-purposeful gaze, or glare may all be a difficulty with children who have CVI. It may be difficult for children with CVI to recognize faces or objects, and it may be hard for them to identify people. It may be hard for children who have CVI to recognize letters, numbers, words, and crowding on a text on a page may prove difficult for children with CVI. The response from DBVI, along with VDOE, VSDB outreach services, as well as the VI consortium at George Mason University for CVI, was to sponsor different trainings, and DBVI sponsored 5 different trainings. The first was a training session about CVI for professionals, and this was Dr. Sandra Newcomb, which provided an in-depth overview of CVI, including the causes, visual characteristics, assessments, and interventions for children with CVI. The next training was by Chris Russell, and he presented both to professionals as well as to families. He focused on identifying common causes of CVI as well as the unique differences between CVI and other forms of visual impairment. He also focused on developing appropriate interventions, curriculum adaptations, and environmental modifications for students with CVI. The fourth training that DBVI sponsored was one on cognitive neuroscience, and this training was for professionals, TVIs, O&M specialists, as well as other DBVI agency coworkers, Ts, OTs from around the state. And this really focused on common causes of CVI, how different areas of the brain impacted cause things like prosopagnosia and simultagnosia, and other more technical aspects of CVI. And this was in February of 2021. The last and the fifth upcoming webinar is essentially a wrap-up of all the other trainings that DBVI sponsored, and it's called Now What? What do I do with all of this information? And it's upcoming. Hopefully it will be early 2022 is when we're hoping to present this last webinar.
Hello, my name is Ann Ronigan. I'm the Education Coordinator for the Fairfax Regional Office of DBVI. And in celebration of our 100-year anniversary, I would like to talk a little bit about the special relationships that DBVI has with students, school districts, teachers of the vision impaired, and early intervention providers. So one of the major ways that we help is that we provide adaptive materials from American Printing House for the Blind. These specialized materials are ordered from our Library and Resource Center, which is based out of Richmond, Virginia, and is also known as the LRC. So in order to be eligible for these special materials, children must be legally blind, and they must also have an open case with our Education Services program. So what are some examples of the materials that the LRC provides for our students? Inventory items range from low-tech options, such as adaptive equipment for PE, adaptive books and materials for teaching math and science materials and concepts, Braille curriculum and Braille paper, assessment materials for teachers and tactile maps, etc. We also provide mid-tech options such as braillers, talking calculators, and light boxes, to high-tech options such as smart braillers, refreshable Braille displays, and Braille embossers for school districts. We can also loan CCTVs or video magnifiers for near and distance viewing and handheld electronic magnifiers to students in all educational settings, as long as these devices have been recommended by a clinical low vision specialist. So with the exception of consumable materials like Braille paper, adaptive equipment is returned to the LRC when no longer needed, so that it is available for other students as they need it. So here are a few examples of materials that we supply frequently. So light boxes are particularly helpful for children with cortical vision impairment. They can be used with a wide variety of educational materials, and they provide backlighting that promotes visual access. Another item that we use frequently, a Tangle toy. This is a malleable tactile tool that can be used to encourage children to explore, move, and play. It helps kids refine motor skills and tactile discrimination. Another example is the Kramer Abacus, which is an excellent tool for teaching numeracy to all children, but is particularly useful when working with students who are blind and vision impaired. We also build relationships with the teachers of the vision impaired in the school districts so that they can reach out to us when they need materials, have questions, need training, or want to refer students to our vocational rehabilitation program and access a myriad of transition resources. We also build relationships with the early intervention programs so that we can provide consultation, guidance, and adaptive materials at a very crucial time in a child's development. While working directly with our infants and toddlers, we also work directly with physical and occupational therapists, speech-language pathologists. So if you need more information about the LRC, reach out to your local education coordinator or check out our webpage at www.vdbvi.org. And happy 100 years DBVI.
Welcome to the DBVI 100th year celebration. My name is Donna Cox and I've been the director of the Library and Resource Center since 2018. We're going to take you on a journey exploring the LRC. Today we're going to discuss the various departments of the LRC and how they assist in empowering blind, visually impaired, or deafblind individuals to reach their desired level of employment, education, and personal independence. The Library and Resource Center is committed to providing quality services for individuals with print disabilities, visual impairments, blindness, and deafblindness. We are going to start with a little history of the LRC, but first, let me introduce you to someone that has been with the Department for the Blind and Vision Impaired since 1969.
Hi, my name is Arlene Glidewell. I have worked at the Department for the Blind and Visually Impaired for 52 years. I have the pleasure of working directly with patrons, staff on a daily basis. I answer the phones, I add requests into the system, various other tasks for the LRC. I have really enjoyed my time at the Library and Resource Center because I have met a lot of different people. I had the opportunity to assist them with their request. The patrons have consistently communicated to me that the books from the LRC provide them with entertainment, and they really appreciate the service. This was especially true during the pandemic. The Library and Resource Center has provided services to Virginia patrons for a number of years. I have appreciated that I have had the opportunity to be a part of the excellent services provided by DBVI. Happy Centennial DBVI.
Thank you, Arlene. In 1959, the Virginia Commission for the Visually Handicapped, in cooperation with the Library of Congress, began preparations for providing special library services. By December of 1959, the Commission provided Braille and talking book services to 756 residents of Virginia and Maryland. National Library Service is a free Braille and talking book library service for people with temporary or permanent low vision, blindness, or physical, perceptual, or reading disability that prevents them from reading regular print materials. Through a national network of cooperating libraries, NLS circulates books and magazines in Braille or audio formats that are instantly downloadable to a personal device or delivered by mail free of charge. The standards and guidelines underwent many revisions, and in 1984 they were adopted as the Revised Standards and Guidelines of Service for the Library of Congress network of libraries for the blind and physically handicapped. The standards were revised one more time in 1990 to include standards to address the needs of the sub-regional libraries in Virginia. The sub-regional libraries started in 1971 with the addition of Alexandria, and then another 8 were added to the group from 1971 to 1988. The sub-regional libraries included Alexandria, Fairfax, Arlington, Newport News, Roanoke, Virginia Beach, Stanton, Hampton, and Fredericksburg. Hampton and Newport News decided to consolidate back with the Richmond Regional Library, leaving a total of 7 sub-regional libraries in Virginia today.
Circulated books to 4,339 patrons and our institutions. There are 7 sub-regional libraries: Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax, Fredericksburg, Roanoke, Stanton, and Virginia Beach. Approximately 5,000 patrons total. The LRC sends out approximately 1,000 cartridges to patrons on a weekly basis.
Hello, I'm Steve Prine, Assistant Chief of the Patron and Network Engagement Division at the Library of Congress, National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled. On behalf of NLS, I want to congratulate the Virginia Department for the Blind and Visually Impaired on its 100th anniversary. NLS has been a partner with Virginia since 1931 in the provision of library service, first for blind adults, then blind children, then the visually impaired and physically handicapped, and now blind and print disabled. This partnership has existed for 90 plus years, and it has worked primarily because of the efforts at the state level. The Regional Library in Virginia was established in 1959. In the early 1970s, the Regional Library had established 8 sub-regional libraries in Virginia, 5 of which are still in operation. Others were added at later dates, and today Virginia is one of 3 states in the South, one of 7 states in the country, and with 7 sub-regionals, the second largest number of sub-regional libraries in the country as a whole. The regional and its subs have provided books in Braille, on record, on cassette, on flash memory cartridges and by digital download. NLS appreciates this partnership and looks forward to another 100 years of service in cooperation with the regional libraries. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob X. Zarin. I am the Talking Books librarian at the Fredericksburg Sub-Regional Library for the Blind and Print Disabled. And I just wanted to send a quick message to all of you at the Department of the Blind and Vision Impaired, wishing you a happy centennial. You have worked a lot with us. You have helped us to put on events to reach out to those with vision impairments and at the elementary school level. You have helped us to continue sending books, both brailled and on audio, to those in our area during this pandemic. You have always been in good contact with us, and we have loved being able to work with you during this time. We hope that your next 100 years are just as great and amazing, and go you. Congratulations.
Hello, my name is Brian Henderson, and I've worked at the Library and Resource Center since 1987. My current role is that of a reader advisor. A reader advisor provides a service which involves suggesting reading materials to patrons, adding book requests to the patron's record, researching book information, troubleshooting playback equipment, and updating patron information in the National Library Services System. Reader advisory is the process of matching readers with books and books to readers. It is answering questions that have more to do with the patron's leisure reading than their informational needs. Talking Books have come a long way since DBVI started the program in 1959. We have provided books on records, cassettes, flash memory cartridges, and the new format changed to DOD, or Duplication on Demand, which will be discussed later. There is also a service known as BARD, which stands for Braille and Audio Reading Download. This service enables patrons the ability to download their own books from the BARD system. The Library and Resource Center works hand in hand with National Library Services to provide talking books, online magazines, playback equipment, and some Braille titles. The reader advisor's role allows me the opportunity to assist patrons with their reading and/or equipment needs. I want to wish DBVI a happy centennial, and I look forward to continuing working to provide quality services to our Virginia patrons.
Happy Centennial, DVBI. I've used library service since I was a child, this one for the last 16 years. Read a ton of books from you guys. I can't even name them all, but some of the authors are people like Tom Clancy, Stephen King, Karen Kingsbury, things like that. I read a lot of different genres, and you guys provide that, so that's what I've gotten from the library. Happy Centennial, DVBI.
Happy Centennial, DBVI. The libraries for the blind have always been a major part of my life. I've been an avid reader ever since I was tiny. When I first moved to Virginia from Kansas City back in 2000, the library services were definitely the first thing that I absolutely made sure was set up. What that meant to me was just when I was in a new environment, new situation, didn't really have family living around me, I had my books. Back then it was books on tape, and back then it was even DVS videos, and it was just a real blessing and a real good thing to have when I was transitioning from one location to another. So I will always, always be grateful that that service exists, and I just think it's amazing. So congratulations, and once again, happy Centennial, DBVI.
Hello, my name is James Norman, and I am the Assistant Director here at the Library and Resource Center. The Library and Resource Center enhances services by increasing the types of programs offered to individuals to include adaptive equipment, Braille textbooks for students, and the Talking Book program. The library combined the Instructional Materials Center and library services with NLS in 1996, just after the move to the new Azalea campus. It was an exciting time with the move to combine services into one department on a new campus.
Hello, my name is Katie Kessner. I'm originally from southwestern Virginia, a little town called Saltville. I now live in Ashland, Virginia. Yeah. Well, when I first started getting blind in '98, on down the road, I got to where I couldn't read large print, so I had a friend that recommended Norton Richmond, that works Hanover and Rico County. He came in and evaluated me and got me started with blind library, and I have thoroughly been blessed with it. And I listen to books all day long and walk around and listen to more books. I think it's 2014 I started, best I can remember. Happy Centennial.
Hello, my name is Winston Samuel. I am the Circulation Manager at the Library and Resource Center. I've worked at the Library Resource Center since 2012. I supervise 2 circulation staff members. The circulation department's main function is to ensure that our patrons receive their reading material in a timely and efficient manner. The LRC lends reading material in audio, braille, large print, and some descriptive videos, DVDs, the formats to people who have a disability that prevents them from reading standard printed material. Our services are provided free of charge. The National Library Service started a new initiative in June of 2017 called Duplication on Demand, or DOD. The exciting new program allows us to download multiple books on one cartridge with as many as 10 or more books upon the patron's request. There is no longer any waiting for our patrons to return a copy. All downloadable books are always available. In addition, your cartridge can be tailored just for you. The combinations are endless. Imagine being able to listen to an entire series from start to finish, or getting everything you wanted to read without having to keep track of multiple cartridges. The Library and Resource Center also ships out adaptive equipment and Braille textbooks to students in the 132 school districts in Virginia. The material and textbooks are received back into the Library and Resource Center at the end of the school year, then placed back on the shelf for the next student by the Circulation Department. Happy Centennial, DI.
Thank you, Winston. A variety of Resource Center services are provided to blind and vision impaired students K through 12, school divisions, and teachers of the blind and vision impaired in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The LRC houses an inventory of adaptive equipment that is distributed to blind, visually impaired, and deafblind infants, children, and youth throughout the state. Teachers of the vision impaired students submit orders for adaptive aids and supplies throughout the year. All adaptive equipment items are provided to the school system for an APH eligible student, care of a teacher of the blind and vision impaired. Consumable items, of course, are not to be returned, but loan equipment must be returned when the student graduates or moves out of state so it can be placed back into circulation. Most of the items that we provide are from American Printing House for the Blind and purchased with funds that are appropriated from Congress each year. The materials may include bold line paper, Braille paper, refreshable Braille displays, CCTVs, and a large variety of additional products. The Library and Resource Center works with American Printing House for the Blind to ensure students receive materials to assist them in being successful in their educational careers.
The American Printing House for the Blind congratulates the Virginia Department for the Blind and Visually Impaired on their centennial celebration. Looking back at some of the historical relations we have had with the Virginia Department, we'll go back to 1986. It was the 118th annual meeting of the Board of Trustees of the American Printing House for the Blind. And A former director, Barbara Bowman, was present, and she was representing Virginia as their ex officio trustee because of her role as the director of the Instructional Materials and Resource Center, which was located at the Virginia Department for the Visually Handicapped, which was the name at that time. Another important date, 2002, was when Miss Barbara McCarthy, the director of the Library and Resource Center, another ex officio trustee of APH, gave testimony in the Senate regarding the Instructional Materials Accessibility Act, making instructional materials available to all students. Our current work and present, that center houses an inventory of the adaptive equipment that is available through APH and the federal quota system, and they distribute this to the blind and visually impaired infants, children, and youth throughout the state. This could range from technology like Braille note takers, specialized software, Braille paper. Again, APH congratulates the Virginia Department of the Blind and Visually Impaired on their 100 years of service.
Hi, my name is Donna, and I'm the Braille Unit Manager at the Library and Resource Center. I have been in this role for 18 months. The Braille Unit consists of a Braille Unit Manager, a transcriber, and a Braille proofreader. The role of the Braille Unit is to work with AIM Virginia and the 132 school districts in Virginia to provide Braille materials to students that require Braille as part of their educational program. The Braille materials give equal access to print materials for students with visual impairments. The Braille Unit utilizes various types of equipment, programs, vendors, and staff to complete these requests. The Braille Unit includes embossers, tactile graphic equipment, binding machines, and numerous other devices to assist with this process. The materials are sent to outside vendors or transcribed by the LRC transcriber, which is based on the type of material and length of the project. Braille textbooks are funded by the IDEA grant from the Virginia Department of Education. AIM Virginia is a free program sponsored by the Virginia Department of Education. AIM is an acronym for Accessible Instructional Materials. This resource provides free, accessible instructional materials for qualified students in Virginia to promote meaningful and equal access to the general curriculum. While the Braille Unit assists with Braille materials, the AIM Virginia program also provides assistance with large print materials located in George Mason University. During the 2020-2021 school year, the Braille Unit completed 106 projects, which included 40 textbooks, as well as numerous educational packets for students in the Virginia school districts. The Braille projects had a total of 706 Braille volumes for the 106 project request. The Braille transcription request is submitted by the digital rights manager from the requesting school district and sent through AIM Virginia to the LRC's Braille Unit Manager. The materials are transcribed and sent out to the requesting school district based on deadlines. The Library and Resource Center works with the school districts and vendors to provide quality Braille transcriptions in a timely manner. I really enjoy assisting students receive materials in their primary reading media to empower them in becoming independent and successful in their educational career. Happy Centennial, DBVI.
The Library and Resource Center is honored to be a part of an agency that is committed to serving the needs of individuals with blindness, visual impairments, and deaf blindness. Whether someone is looking for talking books, Braille for K-12 students, and or adaptive equipment for school-aged children, the LRC is here to assist. The continued partnership with APH, VDOE, AIM Virginia, and various organizations assists the LRC in promoting the mission of DBVI. Happy Centennial, DBVI.
Lead on,